Celebrating the special women in your life? At BlueNile.com, you can easily navigate thousands of fine jewelry options at every price point. Need help? No problem. Blue Nile offers expert advice 24/7 via phone or chat. Online shopping is easy with free shipping and returns. Until Mother's Day, listeners can save $50 on purchases of $500 or more. Just go to BlueNile.com and use the code RADIO to save.
Introducing Under Armour's Infinity High Sports Bra. Its ergonomic design is molded to support the natural movement of your body. With cord-out padding, the better breathability eliminates extra bulk without sacrificing support. And quick-dry padding is Under Armour's fastest-drying padding yet. When you're lifting heavy, running fast, and pushing yourself further than ever before, you need a bra that will help you go that extra mile and make you feel your best. Shop the Infinity High Sports Bra now at UA.com.
Hey folks, welcome to the Adventure Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Gravely. Today is a Throwback Thursday episode from a few years ago. We talked to Jessica Dixie Mills, as she's known. Dixie's her trail name. It's almost thru-hiking season, or it is thru-hiking season in some parts of the country, or it has been for a while down here in Florida. But the big trails are about to be open in the next few months. So you're gearing up for your first overnight or your first really long trip. You know, I don't know where you are on that spectrum, but I know I'm excited to just start going camping in the mountains again. But I was just out in Denver over the weekend, and it was just, I went up to about 10,000 feet, and it was just dumping snow still. And I was in shorts because it was like 90 degrees in Denver. And I was like, golly, man, it's so crazy because it's been warm down here where I live for a while, but it's almost through hiking season, and I want you to be ready, want you to be excited and geared up, and maybe you're still in the planning phase, but use this episode as inspiration. Dixie's going to share with us how she does this lifestyle, how she is able to afford it. She is a famous YouTuber as well, so if you want to learn through watching something, and she's a great teacher and has literally like 5-hour documentaries or 1 to 2 hour documentaries as well on the different thru hikes, like the Pacific Crest Trail, the Appalachian Trail. Just a month ago, she released a 6-hour Appalachian Trail basics video, which goes through literally everything you need to know to learn and grow and get ready for the Appalachian Trail. So super approachable personality, a great presence on YouTube. So check that out. And also, I was in Denver last week because of the Journey to 100 documentary Athletic Brewing released about Jason Hardrath, the king of fastest known times. It was incredible. Thank you so much. There were a few folks there that said they came out because of the show. Thank you. We're going to be going to Portland this weekend, literally in 2 days. If you want to come, tickets are $10. Links in the show notes. Please tell me. Would love for you to come make it out. It's going to be cool. We're going to have trail runner Dylan Bowman there, as well as Jason. They're going to be doing a Q&A at the end. And the following weekend is going to be an even bigger experience in Seattle, Washington. We're going to have a pretty big group there. The tickets are looking really great. So if you want to come to that, Corey and Malcolm's going to be hosting that. I won't actually be at that one, but we're going to have a lot of, there's going to be free beer from Athletic Brewing, of course. And the one in Portland, I think there's going to be tacos. So if you want to make it out, definitely going to be worth your time and effort to get there. You get to meet me. I don't know if that's important to you. If not, it'd be cool to see you. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in and hear from Jessica Dixie Mills. There's so many things I want to talk about because your videos are so. I just watched the post trail depression, and holy cow, that is. I mean, it's I've talked to almost everyone we ever have on the show experiences that because they do the most incredible things, then have to go back home, and a lot of times that place is not exciting. It's
No,
the
and it's
Midwest or some other, just very desolate area that isn't nearly as exciting.
Alabama. I mean, even, there are outdoors activities here, but I mean, Alabama is not like in the top 10 list of states that I would travel to in the U.S. if I wanted to see something that would blow my mind, So I get it.
I read that you're from Florida originally.
Yes.
Where are you from in Florida?
I was born in Melbourne, but I was in West Palm Beach from the ages of like 2 to 14. So when I started high school, I moved up to Alabama.
Wow,
Yeah.
totally different world. I'm from Central Florida as well.
Yes.
We grew up there.
Oh, whereabouts?
Polk County, Lakeland.
Okay. Yep.
There's a little town called Frostproof. That's the town I live in.
That's a cute name.
Yeah, it's a cute little town, and but we're out in Denver now. But
I miss Denver.
Oh yeah, you lived there too, didn't you? I read that on your website. You miss Denver, huh?
I do. I lived in Inglewood.
Oh yeah, that's where we moved when we first moved here, right next to Inglewood High School.
Oh, okay. I was on Corona Street.
Yeah, exactly where that is.
Yep.
So what got you?
World,
yeah, that's crazy. So what took you back to Alabama from Denver, which seems to be more kind of in your interests?
Yeah, the Appalachian Trail. So I was quitting my job. I'm actually sitting here drinking because I was working in the oil field. And so I'm sitting here drinking out of my Halliburton coffee mug right now. And I just love to look at it as I'm doing something that has to do with backpacking, because I gave up that career as an engineer. And especially my job with them was not, the job wasn't bad, but the politics and this is a man's world kind of thing was very real there. And I'm used to working with men and hanging out with guys because I was an engineer, but anyway, so I quit my job with them to say, you know what, I'm going to take a little walk in the woods and kind of reboot. And so I moved back to Alabama because I have a little old mill house here that was my grandparents'. So it's nothing fancy by any means, but the taxes are about $100 a year. So it works out. And so this is my cheapest storage unit I've ever had. And so I just kind of came back here and then decided to go start my thru hike on the AT.
Wow. And that now, does living there or at least having home base there allow you kind of the freedom to go and do more trips more often?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean,
important.
the house is, like I said, not fancy. I don't even have showers. It's bathtubs. I have two bathtubs in there, but I have a little spigot thing that I hook up to the faucet so I don't have to put my hair in my butt water. But so it's not like, a really nice place. I live below my means. I drive the same truck that I had right out of high school. I got it in 2004. So, I mean, I don't have a house payment or a truck payment, but bless their hearts, they're not necessarily pretty to look at. So.
God bless their hearts. You sound like my mother. I know what that means. No, it's just, well, I started seeing your videos just popping up on my YouTube recommendations and thought, man, we got to get her on here to talk about some stuff. She's just, I don't know. I think the accent really breaks down barriers for people. Because people claim I have a little bit of a Southern accent, and just a little, but nothing like yours.
It's there. There's a hint. The hint is there.
Yeah, I got a hint. I don't have a hint. I have a hint.
Yeah.
I'm just messing with you. But wow, so let's see, what was our topics? I'm so sorry that we're kind of all over the place.
Oh no, that's okay.
We're very laid back podcast, but it works for us.
Yeah.
So yeah, you cover all kinds of videos on your YouTube page, but you seem to be someone that's really how-to oriented and basically makes it seem very approachable. And you do a lot of series on gear. And in all honesty, we don't talk about gear on the show a lot, just because I've always done trips on really, really cheap used gear, and I always feel like gear, I don't know, kind of prevents people from being able to do the trip because there's this pressure to have the best of the best or don't do it at all.
Yes, right.
But I was out there, and you learn.
Yep.
And so I'd love to hear your take on what gear people ditch first and what gear is really, really is crucial and what isn't.
Right. Yeah. I mean, of course, I think the way that, well, now that we have Facebook and all the used gear groups, I think that helps some better gear be a little bit more accessible if you're on a lower budget. So that is a good thing. But absolutely starting out with some of that heavier stuff from Walmart or Academy Sports and Outdoors, just to get out there and then realize, what do I actually want in a tent? And then once you save up, you can, invest the money into a lighter piece of gear. But yeah, some of the stuff I wanted to talk about is just, I think that when people go on their first backpacking trip, sometimes they think that it's almost like they're going into a survivalist situation. Like, I'm going to go into the woods and I'm going to camp out and have this like bug out location and I have to survive, which
Right.
that's not really what it is. I mean, it can be if you want to practice those types of things. But when you're going on a backpacking trip, you really just need the things to keep you alive and comfortable from point A to point B. And something that I have come to realize over time is that backpacking and thru hiking aren't necessarily the same. Like, not all backpackers are thru hikers, but all thru hikers backpack, I guess, is how it would be worded. So I think that thru hikers are willing to be a bit more uncomfortable for the sake of having lighter weight, because they're doing it for such a long period of time. Where when you're going on a weekend trip or a week-long trip, then you might have the mentality of a thru hiker. Like, I want to get as many miles in as I can because I want to see everything I can. So you might go on the lighter side. But if you're just, I really want to enjoy more at camp and see a little bit, but take longer breaks and stuff, then fine, you can have more luxury items that weigh down your pack a little bit more. So, but one of the things that I started noticing is there were the same types of items in a hiker box on a thru hike. And so I think that a lot of those items, people realize, I don't actually need this. I just thought that I would want it while I was out there. So, and I'm sure, if anybody that's been backpacking has probably made, I won't say these mistakes, but carried things that they didn't actually need. So yeah, one of the first things I think that people, well, obviously too much food and too much water the first time you go out there, like way too much, because I think that people pack their fears. But an excessive med kit is definitely something that I've seen in hiker boxes, just all sorts of medical supplies, oodles and oodles of Band-Aids, because I don't know if you've ever learned, but Band-Aids don't really stay attached very well, especially if you're using them for blisters on your feet. So, a piece of gauze is going to do better with some medical tape, or things like moleskin, even leukotape. But yeah, an excessive med kit. I've seen pack shakedowns done with a nurse who had saline solution in her pack. There have been like gunshot wound kits, just things like that.
Gosh.
So I think that, if you're just kind of getting into the world of backpacking, I'm not saying that you shouldn't carry some sort of medical supplies. But I think that to help you reduce the weight, that if you look at the common injuries that backpackers will endure while on a trip, and cover just those basics. And then if you're really worried about something detrimental happening, you can always get a personal locator beacon, that you can hit a button and call for help, a spot device in reach, etc., for the bigger, more serious issues, of course. Also, a large knife, like a Rambo knife. It's just like, people go out there with swords sometimes, and I'm like, what are you going to do with that? I think that just to be able to cut some summer sausage or whatever is really all you need. Now, with that said, my friend Perk, who is also a Triple Crowner on the CDT, he wanted to carry a Rambo knife. He said, you know what? I'm carrying this because I just want to. But I think just knowing that it's not a necessity is good. And the same thing, like multi-tools. And people get really upset with this one. They're like, I'm taking a multi-tool. You're not stopping me. It's like, you should carry whatever you want to that'll make you feel happy and comfortable, and, not afraid that you're going to not have the things that you need. But I saw a lot of multi-tools getting ditched.
Man,
saws.
Yeah, I guess you don't really need the tools aspect, more of like a knife, potentially.
Right.
A blade is really
enough.
probably the most crucial piece of that.
Yep.
I mean, you don't need a screwdriver, a Phillips head, or a flathead anywhere out there, I don't think.
I think the only one time I saw a screwdriver used was somebody was fixing their trekking poles, and they actually did end up needing it. But I'm like, you probably could have used the end of your spork or your knife. I know that's a good way to break the tip off of a knife, but that's the only one time in 3 long distance trails that I saw somebody need a screwdriver. So I'm not saying it doesn't happen,
Right.
but he didn't absolutely have to have that one trekking pole. It could have waited till the next town, if he had to. Bear bells. That's something that people might carry one time and then they ditch it. I've actually tried to read some of the studies on that, and it seems like there really is no association with that being something that scares them off. I think just noise in general, but I would drive myself mad with bear bells, and I'm sure all the people around me. Let's see, camp chairs are things, again, it could be a luxury item if it's really small that somebody that's going on a shorter trip might enjoy, but on a longer trek, you can find something, a rock, a log, and people even take those little foam sit pads, to kind of add some cushion back there. How about you? Have you seen any of these things so far that
Well, I mean, I'm kind of more of a bike packer.
Yeah, so you can do.
And I can carry a little bit more, but it's, I don't know if I'm sure you know a lot about it, but it's a lot like backpacking. Very similar gear, just with the bike, and it's trails, roads combination. And man, my first trip, I was that person. I probably had, I bet my bike, just the bike and all the gear, was over 100 pounds. And which is crazy. Yeah. I mean, I have zero experience with anything with trail riding or backpacking. I was in college and broke as dirt, and I had been camping as a kid, like out of a car. That's it, man. I had my best friend, whose girlfriend at the time. Now they're married, but she was a nurse. She gave us a medical. I bet it was like a toolbox that was our first aid kit. It was probably the size of a tackle box, like a fishing tackle box, like a lunch box. And we carried that we probably had 40, 50 saline shots in there. And we ended up giving it all to this RV park like 2 weeks into this trip in Alaska.
Yep.
We had yoga mats. We had 10 pair of clothes. We had no clue what we were doing. And we ended up giving it all away for $20 at an RV park. Not giving, I guess. We sold it technically, but
sold it, yeah.
It was so funny to see what you needed and didn't. Now I think the bike, I can carry like 10 pounds worth of stuff, and I'm fine for. The only thing I do carry a lot of is food, because we used to run out all the time, so I'm kind of traumatized by being, starving out there on the Alaskan highway. But yeah, it's so funny what you think you need before you leave. And people bought me bear bells, all kinds of stuff like that. So everything you've said, I've definitely been a victim of at some point. But
a victim
I got out there.
That's great. Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing is, and so I'm not making fun. If somebody was planning on going on their first backpacking trip tomorrow and was like, oh no, I have some of that stuff. You have to figure out what you want to cull out, what's worth it to you, what you're comfortable with, doing without. And one of the things on my list that I would see a lot in hiker boxes would be plates, bowls, cups, like cookware, and you think that you need like this big mess kit, but really you can get by with just one little pot that boils your water. It can also act as a cup for coffee. But I like to carry a collapsible mug. So I carry a designated cook pot and a separate mug, because I like to be able to eat whatever's in my pot and drink tea or coffee at the same time. So you learn what you don't want to live without. Camp pillows are like inflatable pillows for camp. That's something else that some people will swear by those. They can't get a good night's sleep without them. But a lot of people decide that that's too many ounces for something that's really not serving a purpose, when they could just put their clothes in their clothes bag and use that as a pillow. So it's really reducing your pack weight. I think whether you're bikepacking, backpacking, whatever, is trying to find dual purposes for all of your gear items, or at least most of them.
What's What's a good example of something that you have for a purpose that might not be obvious to someone who's never done this? That might put you on the spot. Sorry.
That's a good question.
No,
You're fine.
I'll try to think
maybe,
of something too.
Yeah, well, like I was talking about your clothes bag. I mean, people are like, "Oh, that's a bag that my clothes go in," but it could also be a pillow. But I know that there are some things that
Yeah, that I actually do that. I carry a hydration pack when bike packing because I don't need to carry a backpack. But it holds 3 liters of water, and it's kind of bent, kind of like angled around my back. So at night, I will stuff some clothes in that, and that's my pillow.
Nice.
Rather than having a separate pillow. And there's also water right there if I need it with the straw. But I have slept on it and let all the water out in my sleeping bag all night. But
oh, no. Yeah. Yeah. Well, some people will carry Nalgene's. I think that they're, pretty, yes, they're durable, but they're kind of heavy when you could do something like a smart water bottle with a Sawyer squeeze on top of it to filter your water. But, Nalgene's, if you were insistent upon carrying one of those because you were drinking out of a life straw or something like that.
Right.
I know folks have heated up water and put it at their toe box in their sleeping bag for the night to keep their feet warm. But just having that much water inside my sleeping bag, I couldn't do it. I would be so worried that it would come unscrewed somehow and spill out everywhere. But I've heard of people doing that.
I actually do that.
I
boil water and put it in an Nalgene and then put it at my feet. I get really cold, so it helps.
I do too. So you've never had any issues with it leaking or
not a Nalgene.
Like
I have done it with like a normal water bottle, and that would leak.
No,
Nalgene
yeah.
has always been pretty good.
I have a short sleeping pad that it goes from my head to my knees, and I put my pack under my legs. But so I guess my pack is part of my sleeping pad. Because since the sleeping pad being shorter saved 4 ounces, and I still want some kind of cushion up under my legs because from my knees to my feet, there is nothing, and it helps keep it warmer too. That way it's not just resting on the ground. So that's something else. My mom's going backpacking with me this summer, and I asked her, do you want the shorter sleeping pad or do you want the full length? And she said, I don't want to do that. I want the full length. And when I first started, I wanted the full length too, but I found a way to shave off 4 ounces and so I could carry something else that I wanted. Or it's all just kind of this game of how comfortable can you be while still, like, as far as at camp at night, and just general comfort versus how comfortable are you with the weight in your pack while you're hiking during the day. And I think that for everybody, if you were to graph it, there would be some certain point that the 2 lines intersect, that's your, that's where you have to be at, but it's different for everybody.
Is there a particular piece of gear that you just love, gravitate towards, is like, oh, it's just so useful, light, and just convenient? Let's take a quick message break and hear from the folks that help make this show possible. On this show, we talk a lot about the adventure, but it's honestly the time between the adventure that is most important, being adventure ready, as we say. And the most important aspect of that is knowing your body and knowing what's going on inside your body. And the most important company that can help you do that is Inside Tracker, literally tracking what's going on inside your body. Inside Tracker analyzes your body's data and provides you with a clear picture of what exactly is going on so that you can make changes to your diet or see what's working, what isn't. And how they do it is they analyze all the data from your blood, DNA, lifestyle, and fitness trackers to help you optimize your body and know what's really going on. So if you'd like to learn more or get 25% off the entire Inside Tracker store, go to insidetracker.com/adventure sports. That is insidetracker.com/adventure sports. Inside Tracker can get you ready and keep you ready for all your favorite adventure sports. I am very excited to introduce to you our new sponsor, Vincero Collective. If you don't know who Vincero is, they're a premium lifestyle brand in San Diego that carries watches, sunglasses, and a ton more stuff. It's for men and women of any style. And you know what? It's really cool because they give back to the planet. They have been carbon neutral since 2019. They invest in renewable energy and forestry. You know, it's the stuff I wear when I want to look a little nicer than usual. You know, we can get pretty grungy here on the Adventure Sports Podcast, but when you need to clean it up a little bit, look nice for something, go out. This is the brand. This is who you wear, Vincero. I got a couple products from them, some sunglasses and whatnot, and I just absolutely love them. I will be wearing them this weekend when I go to a pretty important event. So I'm excited to kind of bust those out. You know, a little bit classier than what I'm used to, which I'm looking forward to. Don't just take my word for it. They got 30,000 5-star reviews, which is crazy. It's been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, all that. So if you want to try some and check it out, they're giving us a 15% discount on anything in their store using the code ASP at vincerocollective.com/ASP, and that's VINCERO collective.com/ASP.
Introducing Under Armour's Infinity High Sports Bra. Its ergonomic design is molded to support the natural movement of your body. With cord-out padding, the better breathability eliminates extra bulk without sacrificing support. And quick-dry padding is Under Armour's fastest-drying padding yet. When you're lifting heavy, running fast, and pushing yourself further than ever before, you need a bra that will help you go that extra mile and make you feel your best. Shop the Infinity High Sports Bra now at UA.com.
That is plenty of that for now. Let's get back into the episode.
I mean, not really. I guess everything that I have, I pretty much love because I don't carry a whole lot of extra stuff. I would say maybe something that I carry that I really don't want to be without, but it's definitely not a necessity, is baby powder. Because I like to use it in my hair because I don't like my hair being all greasy. Maybe I'm a girly girl for that, but I just like to be able to, and I don't know, it smells better, and I could also put it on my body to smell better. And in a pinch, it'll help with chafing. Also, it helps to keep, your feet dried out, and your shoes not smelling so rotten. So that's kind of the thing that I will usually always carry while I'm backpacking that I think has, several purposes and is worth a little bit of extra weight for me. As far as gear, I think the only thing that I could really just cull and still get by with would be my Sea to Summit cup, the little collapsible cup, because I don't need that, but I just want it.
Yeah.
Because it's got the little measured marks in there. So if you're fixing a pasta size, you don't have to guess what is a cup and a half. But anyway, what were you saying?
Oh no, that's I was going to ask you what does your backpacking kit look like now? I'm sure. I mean, there ain't a whole lot to it, I'm sure.
No, I have, a pretty lightweight pack. I mean, I'm certainly not an ultralighter, mainly because I freeze. I'm cold natured. So I know a lot of folks won't sleep or don't have sleeping clothes at night, or they'll sleep in what they hike in. And I can't. I have to have something warm to sleep in at night. And I don't do without rain pants. I have to have rain pants because some nights I end up sleeping in my base layers, in my puffy, and in my rain clothes because I just get cold. And that's in a 10-degree bag. So maybe if I got a warmer bag, it would be better. I might not need all that, but then you're offsetting with the weight of the bag. And then also I carry different camera equipment. I have these little moment lenses that attach to my iPhone, and they have a certain case. Moment has a case that allows those lenses to attach. So I like taking pictures. I like capturing things. I also have a little Sony RX100 camera that I carried on the last hike, and so I guess I'm willing to add some extra electronics for capturing the experience of the trail. So that's why I'm trying to offset all of this gear that I have to live,
Right,
so,
right.
Shaving 4 ounces off the sleeping pad and going with a lightweight sleeping bag. And And I don't know. Like I said, the baby powder, I do like to carry some toiletries. I don't carry deodorant though. That I think is another thing that people tend to ditch pretty quickly. Do you carry it with you backpacking?
I hardly wear it at home, so heck no. On a trail.
I don't either. I don't either at all. If I'm going somewhere real fancy, like, I'll go ahead and put on some deodorant. If I'm like, if I have to go to a wedding or a funeral, I guess I won't make those people around me suffer. But otherwise, I really don't wear deodorant anymore.
That is too funny. No, I haven't put it on today. I know I feel like I'm being a little too open with my listeners, but last night my wife got home and I'm like, I feel like I stink. And so I put on some deodorant and it was like 8:30 at night. And I was like, what's the point? What's the point now? But yeah,
I'm pretty sure she loves you regardless. So,
well, when we met, had probably not showered in 2 weeks. So I guess she was kind of set her up for that.
She knew what she was getting herself into.
Nothing's changed. So that's funny. So yeah. So anything else that you think is like really pushed or kind of a misconception when it comes to when you finally get out there and go for it?
I mean, that's pretty much everything that I have seen. There probably are other things, and it's hard to remember sometimes once you've been doing something for a while, what you didn't know before you started,
Yeah.
So it's, those are the things that I commonly saw. Also instruments, but as far as anything that people preach, like you have to have this, I would say extras of everything. So a lot of people think that, 2 lighters isn't enough. You need some other type of fire starter, but I have never, and I'm not saying there isn't an instance where that could possibly happen, but you cannot literally prepare for every single thing that could possibly happen to you while you're on trail. You just have to look at the most common things that are likely to happen and kind of prepare for those. But even extra water treatment, my pot and my stove. Oh, that's another thing. I can't not have hot meals. So that's another reason I could never get my base weight below 10 pounds, I don't think. But you don't need 2 water filters, especially if you're cooking. If you have a pot and a stove, then you can always boil water if you have to, So again, just trying to figure out the dual purpose of the items that you already have. So you don't need 10 fire starters, 3 Rambo knives, again, the excessive med kit, just an extra flashlight. If you have a headlamp and an extra set of batteries, if you're going to be out for a little while, if you have a cell phone, it also has a flashlight on there, So, I mean, when you're in a pinch, you can figure out how to do things. If you had to just go to bed before it was completely dark outside, then that's what you do, I mean, so I don't know. I think that certainly for folks just starting out, it's good to make sure you have, the 10 essentials of hiking or backpacking. But I think that you can improvise on some of that stuff once you get more experience and you feel comfortable doing so.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I think you'd agree too. It's one of the beauties about being out there that I've found is the ability to have a chance to improvise. Like when something breaks, like I remember my headlight broke on my bike, and then my cyclocomputer went out, and we had to follow these very detailed turns through these trails, and it took a lot of ingenuity for my partner and I to figure out where to go. And when we literally strapped a cell phone to the front of the bike with the light on, I remember, and it was just absolutely bonkers. We looked ridiculous, but it was just an incredible chance to prove your resourcefulness, if that makes sense.
Right.
Which was more
absolutely
enjoyable looking back than if everything would have gone right.
Exactly. I always say that the worst days make the best stories. It's like they do. I mean, because and even people don't want to hear the good stuff necessarily. I was talking to a girl that I was hiking the CDT with, and she said, I'll write a blog post and I'll say, oh, it's a wonderful day and we got trail magic and the sun was shining and the birds were chirping and nobody cares. But I write a blog post about how I thought I was going to die from hypothermia in a rainstorm and it was sleeting and hailing. And then, I tripped and fell and I thought I broke my leg. And then I crawled into my tent and, hated life. And they're like, yes, tell me more about how you almost died. It's just, I don't know. It's just so funny.
We love drama.
But that's the way it is. Yeah, we do. I
And
guess
I
we
say
really
this on the
do.
show a lot. Most of the stories we have people on the stories, most of them are tragic stories in the sense of pain and friction. Not
Yeah.
tragedy at the end, but uh, great pain leads to great art, and people want to
Yeah.
see great art and hear about great art. And um, for you to be able to providing these how-to videos and kind of comments on how to get out there and make their own stories, it's an incredibly valuable service.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want everyone to get out there and ruin their lives like I did. It's the best thing ever. And I mean, it is, because it makes you feel alive when you're out there and something hurts, or you're cold, or you're hungry, and maybe it's kind of a sick way of doing it, but it really makes you appreciate the modern comforts of the society we live in today once you get home. I mean, I think that we take so much for granted until you have to walk for a few days in the rain, because now I don't want an umbrella. I don't need an umbrella, because all I'm doing is walking from my truck into a store and back out. If it's raining a little bit, I'm okay. I'm not going to die in that little bit of rain. I think to myself now, when I get rained on, I don't have to sleep in this tonight. How wonderful is that? I don't have to be walking in this except to go in the store right now. That's so great. And when I go to the bathroom, I appreciate the flushing toilet and the running water that I don't have to filter. And so I think kind of putting yourself out there back to where we actually came from as humans really makes you appreciate how far we've come.
Oh, absolutely. And I sit around and get frustrated in life trying to, things are stressful, but none of my stresses are survival based, or they're really
Yes.
luxury based, I guess. Everything that I kind of stay up about at night, It's like, how far along can I get, compared to my peers? And it's, you don't really realize it's happening until you get out there and do something like this, and it kind of recenters you, and you realize I don't need to pursue any of that.
Exactly. It's being outside in nature teaches you really what's important. I feel like it teaches you to reprioritize and to not spend so much time and energy on things that you can't actually control or influence, and to actually channel your energy toward things that you can control and you can influence. And, I've talked about before, I get mad when it's been raining for several days, or I'm trying to set up my tent and, the tent's whipping in the wind, or, I don't know, things like that happen that I can't control the weather. I can be mad at it and I can yell at it, and it's not going to change anything. And I feel like all the time that's what people are doing on Facebook. Oh, I'm going to write a status and yell about something, but are you actually changing anything? Or, is it like an echo chamber? You're just telling all your friends and they're like, yeah, and you just spend all this time upset about it. It could be, an election, like politics, just anything. Unless you can actually have some influence or change it, then is it worth putting all of that energy into? And
yeah, and that frustration. Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yep.
Being from the South, I feel the same way about sports a lot of times. It can
Yes.
give you. There's nothing wrong with getting into a game, like really getting into a game. But I know people that it'll ruin their week. Their children are scared of them if their college football team doesn't win. It's like that's
Yes.
how upset they get, and it's kind of the same thing. Like, what is this doing to you and your family, and how much control do you really have over it?
Absolutely. Well, it's funny that you also have that experience, because my little sister will not watch football with my dad in the room, period. She just is not going to do it because he gets so heated about it. And I know for myself, I went to the Auburn game when we played Oregon for the national championship.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sick. I couldn't even eat my nachos. I had to throw them away because I was so nervous about the game. And it can be fun, like you said,
Yeah,
and
that's
something that's
fun.
fun to be involved
Mm-hmm.
in. But when your day changes because they lost, like when your mood physically change, when you are different because of something that you had literally no control over, unless you're like a billionaire and you could have, bought a better coaching staff or something, then, it's silly. And when you really step away from it, you realize how silly that is. And after backpacking for, a year and a half living out there in the wilderness, I don't really care about football as much anymore. I still love the Auburn Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
I'll still watch the games, but if they lose, it's crazy. I'm like, and turn off the TV. Oh, well, they're going to play again tomorrow or next week, and they'll play again next year and the year after and the year after. And after I'm dead, they'll still be playing. So it's not something that affects the temperature of my pool at all.
Yeah,
really.
That's good.
Well, I think too so the stuff that we were talking about, the gear that people tend to cull along the way, I think that spending that time in the outdoors teaches you to cull other things in life too, not just gear, but unnecessary things like that, or even, friendships. Like I found myself after coming back from thru-hiking that if I was in a friendship where it wasn't something where we were like trading energy or trading, like being there for each other and helping each other. Cause there are those people in life that are just energy suckers, and they just take and take and take from you. And so learning to cull some of that clutter out of your life too. I don't need this, bad thing in my life that just sucks energy and it doesn't do any good, and so learning to get some rid of that too. And I don't know about you, if you went home after some of these trips and just started throwing away stuff in your house, but I do that. It's like, I don't need this junk.
Yeah, I'd say it's crazy how the longer I'm away from a trip, the more it wears off that need, and then it hits me like, what the heck has happened? I don't need all this stuff.
Yeah.
And then immediately after a trip, you do really unclutter your life. And there's nothing more, I don't know, disheartening than when you get back home and the people around you just, you can't even begin to fathom what you've gone through. And you realize like, yeah, this person doesn't do anything for, and it feels selfish because, you know what I mean? Like some people,
it does sound selfish.
Toxicity. I mean, some people I just can't get away from. Like if my brothers are toxic to me, I mean, they're my brothers, or my mother or dad or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, there are times where friends and family are going to go through things where they need you and can't, give you much at the time. I don't mean it in if you're not getting, if this person's not giving you anything, get rid of them. Not that, but just trading that give and take and that energy between two people is important, because otherwise you're just maintaining a relationship that you're literally pouring yourself into and you're not getting anything back. And that's just exhausting after a while. And I think it's okay to be selfish in that way, to go, this is not any benefit in my life. Just like this piece of gear in my pack is no benefit to my hike. Like, it's got to go. This furniture at my house is not doing anything but collecting dust and being burdensome. It's got to go. And so I think a lot of the lessons that you learn on trail relate back to, normal day life. So.
And if you don't mind, if you have the time, I'd love to hear a little bit of what was the idea to take this and turn it into a YouTube channel that has gained a really big following, and how was that? Did that surprise you, or is this the goal that you had with it?
No, I did not think this would happen at all. If you had asked me when I started the Appalachian Trail, or if you had told me that backpacking in general would kind of become my career, if you will, or my thing that I do, I would have laughed. I would have been like, what? Wow. But I mean, because right now I've been on 3 backpacking trips, the AT, the PCT, and the CDT. So those are the only ones I've been on. But I just, the way it all started, I was heading out to do the Appalachian Trail, and I think it was probably just a few days to a week before I was leaving. And a friend of mine that I went to school with at Auburn, she said, have you thought about vlogging? And I told her, well, I have a blog. And she said, no, vlogging. And I said, well, what is that? And she said, well, it's, basically like a blog, but you're going to put out videos. And I told her, no, I hadn't thought of that, because I didn't even really know that was a thing. And so she wanted to work on her editing skills. She had never really edited, and she was just like taking video of her dog just to learn to edit, So she said, your backpacking experience would be much more interesting for me to edit. So why don't you just start taking some videos when you get out there and send them back to me? And so I told her I would. And I mean, immediately the first day when I was at Immaquahla Falls and I started, and I had left my parents at the little archway there. And I mean, I was crying my eyes out. Like I just thought, what in the world am I getting myself into? And so I pulled out my phone and I'm like, you know what, I need to document this, because I knew I wanted to document the good and the bad and everything, because I wasn't approaching it like, oh, I'm an expert. I was approaching it like, I have no freaking idea what I'm doing, but hey, y'all can watch this train wreck happen as it does. And honestly, I only thought that my friends and my family would watch the videos. But people started subscribing. And one day while I was out there, the girl called and she said, do you know that you have 1,000 subscribers? And I asked her if that was good. I just said, is that a good number? I really haven't been keeping up with it. And she said, that's pretty good for just starting. And then by the time I was done, I knew I kind of wanted to continue it, because I had enjoyed so much capturing the experience and capturing nature. And I knew that there were other people that had been encouraged to get out and go either on weekend trips or to also do a thru hike. And so I just kind of wanted to keep that going, but I wasn't going to video myself driving to my part-time jobs, but then people started asking questions, what pack did you wear? Or what sleeping bag did you use? And so I just started kind of doing topics to hopefully help people who were also wanting to get out there. And I mean, at this time, the channel was not making any money, maybe $40 a month or something like that.
Right.
So it was really just because I wanted to share that with people. I was answering all these emails, so I thought, well, why not put it out there and share it all at one time? That way I can answer a lot of people at one time. And so I just kept doing that. And then, I mean, if you had asked me when I was on Mount Katahdin at the end of the Appalachian Trail, are you aiming to hike another long distance trail? I would have said, no, absolutely not. I'm beat. This was great and fun, but I'm done. But about 2 months later, I knew that I had to get back out there.
Just 2 months.
2 months.
That's
2 months
how it
later.
goes.
It was by Christmas. I thought I have to get out of this normal life thing again. And it was crazy because when I first got home, I was so full of energy and life and passion for living, and that started slowly disappearing. And it's like I needed that fix again to get back out to the trail. And so I did. And then after the PCT, it started to become more of, okay, this is my job now. And I think I can actually make this something that I can continue to do, and, it'll pay for itself. So, and so that's kind of how it happened. It was all kind of by accident and just me wanting to share information that I had learned. And then now it's what I do. It's just crazy. It's really cool though. We live in an amazing time where you can turn, I know it sounds so cliche. You can, chase your passion or live your passion and chase your dreams, but you really can. And if it's something that you're doing anyway, just finding a way to make it maintain itself, I think.
Yeah.
And with technology, I mean, you can do anything. I mean, there's a girl on Instagram that smashes bread with her face, and she's got like a huge following. It's crazy.
World full of talent, isn't there?
Yeah. Yes.
No, but really, you do provide a much more functional and useful and inspiring skill set than that. But yeah, it's incredible that you didn't set out to do this, and here it is growing like crazy, and that's really exciting. And so, what does the future hold for Homemade Wanderlust?
So I am this summer, as we were talking about before, going out to fill in the fire closures from the PCT. And then after that, I think I'm going to feel pretty good about what I've hiked in the US as far as like real long trails. I might do something like the Florida Trail or even maybe the Long Trail at some point. But definitely, I really would like to do the Florida Trail because it's going to be so different. And I mean, who doesn't want to see like alligators and water moccasins, but after that, after the PCT this fall, I'm going to do the Camino de Santiago, and I'm still not exactly sure which route, but I'm doing that with my sister, and that's in Spain. So that'll be my first international type backpacking trip. Now it's quite different. I'll be staying in hostels and getting to drink wine and eat real food. You kind of hike from town to town, more or less. But my 19-year-old sister, she, I don't have children right now. I'll be 33 next month. And so my much younger siblings are kind of like the children I don't have. And I didn't get my passport until I was nearly 30 years old. So it's kind of like I want more for them, kind of the way a parent would, I guess. And so I'm so excited to be able to take her on a trip. And she isn't necessarily one to want to do the full-on wilderness experience, but she would do something like that. So getting her out there and having somebody to share that with will be really cool. And then after that, my next international type thing would be the TA in New Zealand. That's something that I really want to try. So I think I'm going to start broadening some horizons there, but I'm not going to just stop with backpacking. I think doing something like floating the Mississippi would be really cool, or even some bike trips also. So especially if I start having some kids, I'd love to be able to adventure with them. And yeah, I mean, I would. It's getting married and having children is one of those things that, you can't go, I think next year in June, I'll go ahead and have some kids, or what, you know what I mean? It's not like something you really, you can plan for, but it doesn't necessarily happen like you want it to. So that's always been something that I would like to happen, but it kind of hasn't yet. So it is what it is. But
it is what it is.
Yeah.
No, that's cool. Now we talked to a guy who's done, I think, 2 of the 3 Triple Crowns and a bunch of the really lesser known through hikes, like the Great Plains Trail, and then the one that goes cross country in the northern part of the country.
The North Country Trail?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
He did that.
Was his name Strider?
Strider. Yeah, we talked to him a couple weeks ago, and he said the Florida Trail was his favorite. And
really?
I was like, what? How is that possible? He did the Pacific Northwest Trail and everything. And I was just like, man, what? I said, why? He's like, I guess it was just so unexpected, the things you would see. And I just totally blew my mind. And I don't know. I feel like he was lying to me, to be honest. Or just, wanted to say something really out of the box. But
I don't know. We're all kind of self-loathing. Like all these people that do things like we do and make ourselves suffer. I'm like, what is wrong with us actually? So I think right. The ones that the areas that you suffer the most seem to be the most rewarding or something. You grow from them the most. So maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But
I think it's, you expect a place to be really good, and it is. And so it doesn't surprise you. But when you expect a place to be terrible and it's actually pretty good, the sway in that expectation just blows your mind. You know what I'm saying?
That is,
because I would never hike the PCT and expect it to be terrible. I would be like, this is going to be epic. And it would be. The Florida Trail, I do not expect that. And if it was, I would be pretty shocked.
Right. No, that definitely makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. The PCT, I expected it to be absolutely wonderful. I knew it wouldn't be like my experience on the Appalachian Trail because there were so many firsts out there, and just the whole thing was new in general. The first hitchhiking, first trail magic, etc. But the PCT, man, it put a whooping on us in 2017. Just all of the snow, high snowpack, and then it's going to be the same this year, it seems like. Definitely. And then all the fires, and then the snow again before I finished. And I was like, I'm done with you, But so I'm excited to get out there this summer and see some of the areas again, and hopefully do some trail magic for the thru hikers, and just kind of come to peace with the PCT and tell it I still love it, But so that's, yep.
Well, this is great. Well, I really appreciate you being on and taking some time. I'm sorry that I did not organize a very clean flow in the conversation. I think it's great. We just kind of started having a conversation. I feel like that's, better sometimes anyway. It's more natural rather than bullet points anyway. So it's all good. Well, Jessica, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll let you know when this comes out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Yes, ma'am. First of all, thank you so much for listening. It means the world to us that you choose to listen to the show. If you'd like to help us further, you can leave a review on iTunes, share us with your friends, your family. It goes a long way to grow in the show. You can also support us financially through patreon.com/adventuresportspodcast. Link is in the show notes. And also, if you have an idea of who could be a good guest for the show, we're always looking for people to tell their story about the outdoors or adventure. So if you know someone, please reach out. Email us at info@adventuresportspodcast.com. And until then, get out there and have some fun.